Hey everyone, welcome back to the Three Ways to Say It podcast. I am Ashley.
Casey.
And I'm Todd Carter.
So today is episode 3, 2, and we'll be talking about childhood trauma and triggers. But before we get started, what's going on with y'all? Because Tasha, I see you all glammed up over there, and Keontae, your background looking a little different. So I'm just throwing it out there. Like, what's going on?
I'll let her go first.
I'm sorry for the podcast, but I'm just chilling tonight.
Oh, okay.
You so glammed up and chill.
Period.
I'm in Nashville.
Oh,
Nashville,
I see somebody who I thought I see.
Don't ever play like that. Don't play like that.
Oh, okay. Thought I see somebody head. Like, oh, okay.
My.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Keontae, you can take it away, sir.
All right. So, this week, this podcast, we kind of talk about a lot of stuff that should be talked about in the Black community. And I think one thing that we rarely talk about is how our childhood affects how we move as adults. When I first came to the topic, I was going to say childhood trauma by itself, but I'm going to switch it around and say just your childhood period, because everybody's childhood is not bad. Not everybody go through a traumatic episode or had this traumatic events. So first, I'm just open the floor and kind of started like, have you guys had any traumatic events or I guess childhood trauma that you feel like affects you today? And it's okay not to, but do you feel like you guys have any?
No, I don't. I don't have anything any trauma that I think affects me today that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Excuse me. I wouldn't say trauma, not that any that I can remember anyway, but I would definitely say triggers.
Okay. Yeah, and I say the same. I think I have more of a trigger. I think I'm blessed enough not to have anything that, scarred me. So no traumatic things. Well, we're gonna start with the triggers then. So we're gonna start with relationships. So, and I'm gonna start with Ashley. So in relationships, is there any based on how you were raised or how your childhood went? It could be how your parents taught you, how you were cared for, anything. Is there any triggers or anything of that nature that helps you in the way that you navigate through your relationships and love life?
I think I already talked to y'all about this before. I would say the main thing would be it's something about people not letting me finish talking or interrupting me when I'm talking or me just feeling like I'm not being heard. So I would say like growing up, I would say it was times where I felt like I wasn't being heard. And I think I told you, Tasha, I think it was the height thing for me. I don't know. That could just be something bothering me with the height thing where if I said something like, hey, a teacher, hey, I'm not talking, or I'm not the only one in here talking. It's like, oh yes, you were. Why are you talking? And if I try to explain, it's like, no, just be quiet, be quiet. But if someone else does the same thing, it's like, oh, okay, or it's not as aggressive towards them. So I want to say too, it plays a part family wise. I think growing up in the family where it was, your parents are always right. Even if they ask you a question, and even if you do explain to them, it's like, no, it was you. It was you. Like teachers can call and say anything. My parents instantly believed it. I'm just like, it did not go like that. But it was, no, it went like that. No, it didn't. Like you let me talk. You will not let me talk. So yeah, I think that's like the biggest trigger for me. And in a relationship, I just need to feel heard. Like, even if you don't agree with me, let me just get it out, please. Right. Let me just get it out. So that's, I would say, one big thing for me is just hearing me out and actually letting me get my thoughts out.
Toddy Whitey.
have a bit of a small trigger. I feel let's see. So no.
See, I knew you were gonna do that. I knew you were gonna do that.
You
cannot. You love running away.
Ty, you're running. You're an escapist. No.
You're in the escape room.
Well, let me just say, so a trigger for me in a relationship, though, I do have one. So it's not about childhood, but I do have a trigger in terms of the phone. So if I call a guy and he's a little bit short or whatever, then I'm just not going to call him again, because I think when I used to be married, I used to call my husband and he wouldn't answer. And so I started to call him during the hours where he was at work, because I knew that he would answer at those hours, and I wouldn't call him after he got off work. And so now I do carry that over into my relationships. So one of the things that I'm going to do going forward, and what I have expressed to my person is that I need telephone calls, and I need to hear from you, and I need to know that it's okay for me to call you. Like, I want that dialect, and because before, I think I have shied away from that when I like a person. Now, if it's one of my friends or just maybe somebody that's just getting to know me, if I don't really have any attachment or whatever to them, then I don't care. I can call them or whatever. But once I get into that space where I have that type of attachment, I tend to shy away from that. So that's something that was a trigger that I definitely want to work on.
Okay.
I can also say too, sorry, Kian, say
Oh no, go ahead.
I think we talk about it a lot at work too, where it's that the emotional part of it too. Like, my family isn't big on expressing their emotions. So for me, I think it kind of came down to me too. So even in a relationship, if someone tells me that they love me or like me, I'm like, ugh. Get away from me. Or the hugging, it's like, so that's just something that I'm still just trying to work on. So bear with me. Okay.
I'm the total opposite. I receive so much affirmation at home, and I tell it to my friends, I tell it to my coworkers. It's just something that I do, but I will tell you I love you in a minute. And sometimes they do go out. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes they be like, ooh, but I'm so used to it, it's natural to me. So if I care anything about you, I'm gonna let you know. It's just, I don't withhold it. And I will say that I won't withhold that from a man that I'm interested in either. It's just that is so embedded in me. When I get to that thing, I am gonna let that out. Like, I won't hold that back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm right there with Ashley. I don't like the little. I don't like that. All right, don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Ooh, I need all of that. I gotta be touched.
And y'all know physical touch just is at the bottom of the list for me. Like,
I'm like, don't.
I need all that space.
Ooh, all that snuggle me, just cuddle me. You gotta cuddle.
Be like,
I want to
get the back.
I'm a cuddle bear.
The cuddle queen.
Yeah.
Okay, well, no, to go back to what we were saying, okay, with the triggers, I think my biggest trigger, I guess, well, relationship wise, is that since I grew up in the with a single mom, it wasn't, well, I'm gonna be honest, in the family period, I didn't really have a male figure or a male example. Not to throw anybody, throw him under the bus, because people could have stepped in, but nobody really did. So the masculine side, the things that men do, and the masculine stuff I had to learn on my own. So as an adult, when I'm tested on those things, or when somebody or feel like they can play on those things, I get a trigger off of it, because knowing that I had to own that and find it on my own, of course, it could be a personal challenge for me. And like I told y'all the other day, it's just my mama did an amazing job with us, having three boys, but it's just she's not going to ever be a man. So it's certain stuff she couldn't teach us, and it's certain stuff she couldn't be an example of. So I had to learn all that stuff on my own. I didn't really have an example. I'm gonna be on like at all. So every masculine part of me is literally taught on my own. So yeah, that's my trigger. So in relationships or whatever, like if I feel like, which I'm not heavy on the like I'm not that toxic masculinity. Like I'm not I gotta be in power with this and all this. I'm not like that, but just on the part of testing me as a man, that's triggering because since I knew I built this on my own, I had to learn it myself. So once it's tested, I do feel a little triggered from that. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's heavy. That's heavy.
I know. And thank you for opening up about that. Like, most guys won't be honest about that. So
Yeah.
like how do you handle that in just friendship? Like if you feel like someone is testing that part of you, like how do you handle it?
I think I think I learned to. I'm gonna be honest. I think I learned to cope better. I used to not be as good as I am today, but I'm real strong minded. If I'm tested with something, I learn to respond and not react. I can think about it first and be like, you know what, maybe they don't get it. Let me, be considerate of they don't know what they're doing. I talk about it. We talk about it at work all the time. There'd be situations where I'm my response is because I feel like I'm being tested as a man. Like I know I'm goofy, I know I'm playful, I know I'm chill. I'm not like a super. I don't walk around be super hard and stuff. I play all the time, and I think some people can play on that a lot and think they can kind of, I don't know, play with you like you're a child. So I'm gonna just say I learned to cope with it. I had to kind of sit with myself and tell myself, every situation is not worth it. Because if I did let it bother me, I would literally get into it with a lot of people, and especially men. Men, I think out of everybody, men test each other more than anybody. A man will definitely chin check you before a woman will. I think a woman would actually be more gentle with you. A man can definitely try to play your manhood, overpower you, do that type of stuff. So I think I kind of have like a coping mechanism where I just tell myself every situation is not worth it. You don't have to get into it with everybody. And you just have to realize that in this world, men just want to be on top of everything. So I just kind of tell myself, long as I know I'm being the man I need to be, it's just not worth it. So I think I had like this coping mechanism that I don't actually react to everything. So I think that's how I deal with it today, I'll say.
That's amazing. One thing I say is that I think that your mom has done a fantastic job of raising you and your brothers, because from the moment that I met you, I could tell that you were raised. Like you have always addressed me, as Miss Tasha. You have always been very respectable. You such a hard worker. And sometimes you can come across people in the workforce and you don't even have a clue if they've been raised by wolves. I will say that from the very moment that I met you, I can tell that your mom or whoever had raised you had done a very good job. And I could tell that you was because I'm older, to me it's a kid, but I could just tell that, this young man has been raised. I mean, it was just, you exuded it. I mean, it just like, if that's the way to say the word, it just came out your pores. I mean, like you just tell. And then, and I have met other males in our department and just around the building or whatever, and there's a difference. But I will say that you're pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, I would agree with Tasha. Your mom definitely did a good job, because I say all the time, I was like, oh my God, your mom had 3 boys. Like, how? Like, I don't have kids, but yes, I'm like, what? But even, seeing your brother at work and stuff like that, you can tell that you guys are raised very well. Right. So, hey, I appreciate her and how she raised y'all, because most guys don't, especially at 25, like they don't act like you. Like I said, the being respectful, Even when you are triggered at work, and I can tell when you are sometimes and how you handle it, because any average, no, I'm not even gonna say average. I don't want to put that out there for any 25-year-old guys who hear that, but we
Yeah.
know some
Mhm.
or some less than some would definitely bounce back with that them fists, the way some of some people be talking, to you or whatever. So
Yeah.
the way that you handle things at work, you can definitely tell that you were raised very well. So, and it's appreciated. Like, honestly, it's really appreciated.
Well, thank you for giving her flowers.
Oh yeah, and your love for Black women as well. So that's
Yes.
definitely appreciated.
They rule the world. They rule the
Of,
world.
of course,
Come on
like,
now. Come on.
period.
What would be without Black women? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, okay, we're gonna hop over. So we did relationships. Um, and I was okay, so now I was gonna ask, how do you guys, okay, when you acknowledge your triggers, how do you use it, I guess, in a positive way? I guess, for example, if let's say the trigger was bad, how do you flip it and I guess get your power back? If that makes sense. And I don't know, does that make sense? Like, I guess, do you understand it?
I think I can understand. Hopefully, I can explain it right.
Yeah, I
I
think yours
think.
is a good example, but I think what you said with your trigger was a good example of that, getting your power back, making sure you're heard because you are, because you were not heard, now making sure you are heard, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also to just returning that, well, reciprocating that same energy towards them. So if they're talking, I make sure that I'm engaged in what they're saying. Also, like, giving feedback too, I think helps someone to see that you're listening and
Mm-hmm.
understanding. So whenever they're talking, I try my best to make sure I'm listening and hearing them out and letting them finish the conversation or whatever they have to say before I jump in and say anything. So I'm definitely working on that. So I think that helps, and it helps
Yeah.
me.
Okay. But well, before Ty comments, I was gonna say, like, you big on the phone stuff. I think it's like, well, I guess you were about to say anyway, but I think it definitely makes it shows that you like good communication.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And so it ensures that you're gonna always have good communication. But go ahead, maybe I started for you, but yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I somebody texted me like for the whole entire. I do like to text. I think
Mm,
texting is supposed to be something where you maybe when you're at work or something like that, but to try to have a complete whole conversation through texting versus picking up the phone is just something that I just don't tolerate. But I will go back to when you were saying, how do you kind of overcome your triggers or get your power back, is what you said.
mm,
One of the things that I'm learning, as I go in my self-discovery, because I'm in self-discovery, in order to get your power back, you have to really just strengthen your relationship with God. Because with everything that you want to do in life, whether it's school, work, relationships, entrepreneurship, everything in your life, or just having peace in your life, it
Mhm.
starts with God. Once even with having peace with your own self, you're not going to have peace with your own self until you know strengthen your relationship with God. And once you strengthen your relationship with God, then that's when peace come over you. And you have to always remember that your happiness is not in any person, place, or thing.
ooh, that was good. That was good. I like it. And you said that, and it was so good. I forgot what I was gonna say.
I've been
I
doing,
literally forgot my
y'all know,
thought.
I've been doing some real deep
I'm talking
work.
about maybe that was the power of God. It got me to me.
I'm talking about he been slaying me all over the house, boy, all over my prayer closet. I just been
Yeah.
laid out.
Yeah. Well,
But that's
okay.
the best way to get your really. The
I just
absolute
talk
best
about
way.
Yes, I just
What?
the war room. We had told the story
Oh,
about the
I don't know where we going, but
I'm sorry, Miss Ty. You ever seen War Room?
I think I have.
Okay.
It's kind of like a spiritual
Yeah,
movie.
it's a
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But
I'll
I'm
tell you
not
about.
laughing at what you're talking. It was a story that he told me about, and that just
I'll tell you
triggered. I
because
like the word triggered some.
if I tell you on the camera, somebody gonna want to smoke with me. So I ain't telling you on the camera. I tell you at work. I tell you at work. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, the last, I guess, section of this discussion would be since we see that a lot of these conversations happen in our Black community. What's the solutions for us? Okay, first we're gonna have a conversation. But what you think is the solution for people dealing with their childhood trauma? Because I know a lot of situations where we see a lot of African American, like me coming from a single parent, yeah, we turned out good. But I think a lot of those men who are African American men who are violent and end up incarcerated, it's because they didn't have a positive male figure in their life. And I think that's the root of it. So what do you think the solutions for us in the Black community start?
I would think that we need to do more mentoring and, getting young boys and, young men in front of other men who are an example in their community. And then you always have to go back into the communities and, talk to people and see where you can help. Everything in life is about, so I think, and again, y'all, I'm really on my spiritual journey. When you operate in a state of giving instead of receiving, then those are some of the things that you will just automatically want to do is go out and help your community and help young men, figure out a better way. Because when you do things like that, that's just help them to understand that you can, go to school like you did. You can obtain, just more than a bachelor's. You can, start your own business. Just different things like that. So I just think we got to do more reaching back to get people in our community and just, sharing information that we know. Sometimes people is not willing to share information. And I think that, hurt us too, is when we're not willing to help the next person get a leg up.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I also think that men should start to step up in our community because I do believe it takes a village to raise, regardless if you have two parents or not. I know you said it's not. I think that you said that you didn't have any like male figures around,
Right.
or that didn't want to step up, or
Mhm.
because I think we tend to say like, oh, this is not my problem, that's their problem, but it's all of our problems, as you can see.
Yeah.
It affects every Black person. I
Mhm.
also think, of course, counseling, but
Yeah.
if you can take your parents with you,
Yeah.
that would be great as well. So
Right.
everyone can have that discussion. Like if you want to go by yourself at first, that's fine. But bringing in your mom or your dad or your mom or just your dad, whoever, I think that also would be a great idea. Because it gives them a chance to open up and be honest. Because again, your parents only, knew what to do based off how they were raised. So
Right.
just being open and honest about that too can just help heal some of those wounds. So
Right.
that's what I think.
And I do think, now that y'all say that, I think that's one of the biggest things or problems in our community is that we don't realize that we're only stronger together. Like, it takes all of us to kind of, complete a mission. We can't really. I actually don't know. Like when you look at a lot of the older men in the community, I don't know if they're not looking at the young Black men coming up. I actually don't know what they're looking to because they are supposed to be the ones guiding them, to doing better things. But they have to be doing good things themselves. But the ones that are like they should all have some young man. I have to say myself too. Some young man that they feel like they should mentor or bring up with them. So I think it's like the one of our biggest problems in our community is that we don't realize we're only stronger together. We don't need to be against each other, but be
Right.
with each other. So yeah, I think
Mhm.
that's if we acknowledge that big problem, and we get
Right.
to some solutions. So yeah. And another, I did want to say this. Now that I did say that, because I did actually ask my mother permission um
Uh-oh.
on sharing, her story, just her being a single mother, whatever. I did ask her first. I didn't want to do anything where she'll be offended about,
Right.
um, you know. So I did want to say I grew up in a family full of women, and it's not like something that I regret. Like when I say those women protected me and they taught me everything I need to know. So I don't want to say, yeah, I say I need a male figure, but it's nothing stronger than a Black woman. So I do want to definitely give credit to the women in my family that carried me along. So it's not like I needed that male figure. I'm just saying it wasn't present. I did want to say that since I talked about it. But yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But I do want to end it. Okay, we always had to end it this way. Each of us are gonna give some motivation for the week coming for anybody watching. It might get to them, may not, but just some motivation for them. We're gonna start with Ty, the preacher.
um I, I I'm not the preacher, because if they go back to the beginning of the tape, I actually said something. But anyway, so I will say this. One of the things, I don't know how motivational this is, but I'm thankful to God that every day I get to walk in my purpose. I figured out what my purpose was a couple of years ago. I had no clue as to what it was. And I was kind of asking God, I was just like, God, what is my purpose? Because I wanted to know. And I remember that I took a couple little tests at my church that I was going to, and it was just, telling me some things about myself. And so I ended up being a greeter at church. And as I'm greeting people and meeting people, and things like that, I was just having all these type of conversations with people, because you'll be amazed at what type of conversations you will get into when you're standing at the door and people are coming in. But anyway, I ended up supporting one of my coworkers at my other job, and she had a motivational speaker, and she was just kind of, talking to people about how she got into writing a book and things like that. And, how you have to figure out what it is that you do on a daily basis that you enjoy doing, but you do it as second nature. And she was kind of explaining how, that could be your purpose. And so I started thinking really hard, like, what do I do all the time on a daily basis? And I do it without effort. And then it came to me that I'm a motivator. That's one of the things that I do, is I always encourage other people. And I have a real great passion for women. I love to make sure that I uplift other women, because, sometimes women will not even compliment each other,
Mhm.
and I always try my best to compliment other women, because sometimes they just need to hear that. They need to hear, you're beautiful, or
Mhm.
you're smart, because sometimes people have such a low self-esteem about themselves or how they view themselves, till it makes them feel good to see another woman, speak kind words to them. So that's one of the things that I always do, is motivate people. I try to, be an example and encourage people to let them know that you can do anything that you want to do. And so I always try to share information, is another thing that I do well. And then the last thing, which is not the least things, is that I always share my faith with people. And when I tell you, when you're walking in your purpose, and when you are sharing your faith, that is just so, I can't explain it, because I received a text this morning where one of my coworkers said, I am so thankful for you in my life. It's just like, I'm so glad that God put you in my life. And to say, you just have no idea that when you're speaking to me, that it just really, you know, speak to my spirit. And it's like, and they went on to just let me know that they was feeling low, and sometime I'll come around, and those conversations really help them. So it made me feel good to know that I am, I guess needed, or I don't even know needed, but just that I'm able to help somebody, and then I was speaking to someone today, and we're just talking, and they were actually, saying some things to me. So, you may minister to one person, but you'll be around somebody else that's ministering to you. So, I just think that we all have a way of sharing things and ministering to each other to make, other people feel good. So just always, try to encourage people, because you never know what they're going through. You never know what battles they're struggling with. And, you just never know how you can make an impact on somebody's life by just saying some kind words. And always, always, always share your faith. Your faith may not be what my faith is, but share your faith with people. Okay. That was a little long-winded. I'm sorry, long-winded.
I guess that wasn't long-winded. It was needed. I guess I go. And I say this all the time. I had to tell myself all the time. And I know Ashley, she called me out for it. And it's, when we talk about horoscope, I'm a Pisces.
Definitely Pisces.
So I definitely.
It's Aquarius season.
It is.
It's Aquarius season. Y'all Aquarius in right now. Look. Shout out to all the air signs. Look.
Right. But I know it's in my nature to kind of care for others and make sure others are good. But in that, while I'm doing that, I don't know how much I do check on myself or make sure I'm good. So I will say to anybody watching, just please treat yourself, take care of yourself. I mean, I know you want to treat people good, and make sure you kind to everybody and make sure everybody's good, because it come back to you in good ways. But just make sure you're good. Just make sure you're good. Look at yourself in the mirror and be like, you are okay. Because I know sometimes you can be checking on everybody, and at the same time, I guess if you look at it, like you could be wiping everybody else's tears away while yours falling. So,
right.
So I would just say,
sleeping in my window this week.
No. But just please make sure you check on yourself just as much as you check on others. Make sure you're good. That way you can accurately check on others. You got to make sure you're good first. So that's for anybody watching, because I have to take that advice myself, so I understand it.
Let me just add this. One of my friends told me just this week, he said, look, Ty, you cannot be everything to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just like, because I tend to try to do that. It's like, you cannot be everything to everybody. I understand it, but it's just like, take some time out for you. So self-care needed.
Self-care, yeah. It really is.
So my message for anyone that's listening, I think what I learned from before, but especially this week, is to follow your intuition. And when I say that, when you have those certain feelings about people or situations, it doesn't have to necessarily be anything about a person, but it could be about work, relationships, or anything. Follow that instinct. It's gonna work every time. And I think this week just helped me open my eyes, because I stay pretty quiet about a lot of things, but usually I'm right. I'm head on when it comes to people. I would say that. And yes, it has been times where I've been wrong for all the people listening, but majority of the time I've been right. So just
you do.
You be right.
just go with that feeling. Not saying you got to shout it out to the world, but just follow your heart, that feeling. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to close it out since Ashley opened it. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Like I say, be good to yourself.
But you still ain't tell nobody where you at though, because
All right, so
you got
y'all
all
be
this
good.
money and
Ooh.
but I'm gonna be quiet. But go ahead.
I'm gonna enjoy my vacation, as you see.
It must be
Yeah.
nice. Oh, look at that room. Oh, okay.
But yeah,
I ain't
like
mad
I
at
said.
you.
Oh yeah, join me. But yeah.
And also, I do want to just dedicate this episode to Buddy because Keontae lost his little.
I know. What in the world?
Yeah.
The good ones that leave us first. This is always the good
Yeah,
ones.
always.
I'm a pet lover, so you know I had to shout little Buddy out like, oh.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, rest in peace, Buddy. He's in guinea pig heaven, living it up.
And it's okay. He'll be on my own. I'm going to get a tattoo for him next week. So.
Are you
I
kidding?
should have. That
I'm like,
Pisces, I'm telling you, look.
I already got it drawn out. I already take the tattoo artist.
Now he gonna find out what you really been saying about him since he in heaven. Now he's gonna be like, oh, so this how he really felt about us?
I ain't gonna lie. They knew they get on my nerves. It don't matter. But yeah. Sorry for my pet. He will be missed.
Yeah.
Well, all right, y'all. Enjoy y'all night. And Toddy Waddy, do your thing.
Okay.
And Ashley, we know what you're gonna go do. Put them in the air fryer.
You already know with my single self.
No. All right.